So, as most everyone knows, I've been an outspoken advocate of childhood cancer for the past 6 years. And the reason I preface this recording with that statement is because there's something else brewing within the childhood cancer world that no one ever talks about. They probably don't talk about this because they feel that it's a silly subject to talk about, and they don't want to cause trouble or create turmoil with the already existing issue of cancer itself. And they would be right. But childhood cancer hierarchy? Seriously? Anyone who has watched the so-called movement of whatever is happening in the childhood cancer world would undoubtedly notice how certain individuals are deified, venerated, and exalted as prominent figures within the so-called movement. Certain individuals are placed supremely above and beyond the rest of the population of families directly impacted by childhood cancer, and, according to actions, not words, the rest of us are just simply not doing enough. Everyone complains so heavily about the systematic shafting of healthcare and cures for our children battling cancer, but yet no one ever talks about the superficial status quo on the advocacy side of things. This idea that only certain people can do magnificent things that I guess no one else can do seems pretty ridiculous to me. There's all kinds of ego-stroking and brown-nosing in the childhood cancer world, and no one seems to care. It's true that there are much bigger fish to fry, as in healing our sick children and discovering cures for childhood cancer, but the issue is that we glorify certain individuals and shrug off the rest. The fact of the matter is this. Each and every family who was directly impacted by childhood cancer was thrown into a set of unjustified circumstances which, in its direct reversal, means that the directly impacted people have the same amount of justification in discussing the issues. Every last one of us has a dog in the fight, and we have plenty to say about childhood cancer as a collective whole. How did we get to the point that only certain people matter more than the rest? I call bullshit. This particular editorial is titled Dignity Over Glory, because there's a vast delineation between those who do it for the glory and those who do it for anything other than the glory. The childhood cancer world is a mile wide and an inch deep, and when you have particular individuals who constantly act as if they are God's gift to children, they are inevitably endorsing the superficial view of what childhood cancer actually is, while simultaneously whining and bitching about how fake it is. There's a self-contradiction at every turn. I mean, just recently I was told that I had delusions of someone that I know nothing about, and yet their actions are such that they illustrate my point every single time. Narcissism and ego trips are the cancers within the childhood cancer world. It's gotten to the point where nothing means anything if we're not constantly and incessantly bragging about who we are, what we're doing, and who we're helping. Kindness and empathy aren't inventions. They're teaching practices. When you practice, you teach others to do the same. The very minute you do it for the social media validation, you are crumbling every ounce of goodness that was embodied inside of that good deed for reactionary purposes. You officially become disingenuous and carry a superficial disposition. Congratulations. Be proud. Be very proud. Jered, we never know what you're doing or who you're helping or how you're helping them. Exactly. I have too much dignity and self-respect to sell my soul for a few social media likes, loves, and shares. The people whom of which I help, and I've helped several people since I pinned that proverbial advocate badge to my chest, they know who I am. They know what I am. They know that I've helped them. They know who I am as a person inside and out. But here's the thing, I'm not obligated or required to keep public documentation or record of who I help and how I help them. I'm not the CEO of a nonprofit organization, nor am I a board member. And guess what? I don't have to be either one of those things. Again, kindness and empathy aren't inventions. Those things are taught early on, and when you exercise what you've learned, others will feel the impacts. Those people whom of which I've helped, they have felt those impacts. The only validation I need is knowing that I helped them. That's something you feel in your heart. Social media could never hold a candle to that, let alone provide it. Clearly, there are people who vouch to do the right thing, and I'm not ridiculing that. I'm ridiculing the idea that there's a ruling class within a population of people that formed under a governing disease known as childhood cancer. The bigger issue is that there are people encouraging those certain individuals to behave the way they do, thinking that their shit doesn't stink. That they are so incredibly invincible that no one else measures up to them or their standards. Every time you praise certain people for the things they do, you're part of the problem, working against the solution. Come on now, let's be real about something here. No one is so confused as to how to help someone that they massage the bruised egos of those with insecurity issues. The only extravagant thing about an egomaniac is their ego. I can assure you with every fiber of my being that they are not the only people who are doing things for the betterment of the childhood cancer world. You'll see these things on social media because that's where every narcissist resorts to when their bruised egos need the massaging. When it comes to life and death situations, you have to be pragmatic every single time and learn how to separate your ego from the cause. Your neurotic fixation to be number one is toxic and has a foul odor that traipses throughout the childhood cancer world. This can easily be misconstrued as an editorial about jealousy. I'm not jealous of anyone. It's those people who feel as if they need to constantly be in the spotlight with television and radio shows, newspaper, magazine column inches, photo shoots. You know, the ones who pretend that they don't care about glory and glamour but consistently portray otherwise? Yeah, those people. They are the ones who are sorely confused. See, the magic of a camera is that it makes people act differently because they know they're being watched. It's editorials like these that keep me out of that limelight and happily detached from groups. I'm really viewed as a threat because I've always went against the conventional wisdom of agreed upon platitudes. There's a whole lot of lip service and not enough incremental change. There's a great rift and imbalance regarding this idea of community, which is another worn-out platitude that I no longer support. Dignity over glory, because it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the kids. We need to keep it that way.